I really thought I could make a video in 15 minutes, but I run my mouth. So, part 2. Golgi Bodies. Here we go. Yeah, that's it. See? Very light, mild little cough. Sometimes they're deeper, but I don't know, man. So, Golgi Bodies. I told you the ribosomes follow directions, they make exactly what they're told, and that sometimes, like when Branch doesn't exactly follow directions when he's 4, it's not exactly what we need. It's close. So Golgi Bodies take proteins that are built by ribosomes and twist them to make them just so. I told you at the end of the last video that proteins have to be curled and bent and twisted in just the right shape. That's what Golgis do. Let's see. Here we go. Sorry, I had to get some stuff on my other screen so I can see what I'm doing. So Golgis process and package proteins and lipids. So process, that means they will twist them, cut them, shape them, fold them, attach them to other proteins to make bigger, more complex molecules, like vitamins and hormones and stuff. Hormones and vitamins are humongo. I told you proteins are huge. Hormones and vitamins are even bigger. But Golgi will make the thing the ribosome made, the protein the ribosome made, make it work. That's their main job. They process and package. We'll talk about the packaging in just a second. It specializes in proteins that leave the cell. So a lot of proteins your cells make don't hang out. You learned about specialized tissue and specialized organs that make stuff for your body. Your liver makes bile, your pancreas makes insulin, your all the like your I can't think of anything because I'm sick, but your endocrine system that makes all your hormones, they're made in your lymph nodes. Sorry, I couldn't think of that. Anyway, and they make hormones and then they move them around your body like testosterone and estrogen right now, little Miss and Mr. Puberties. Anyway, but they make stuff that have to go out into your bloodstream and arrive at other organs to do jobs. So your Golgi will fix those proteins, package them, and ship them out. So inside a typical animal cell will be between 10 and 20 Golgi bodies, which in this image, which is I think just above I don't know exactly where my video ends up. I think it's going to be right above me. It looks like a stack of bags, kind of like one of my professors, not Rishbeater, a different one, compared them to like stacks of pillowcases because they are sacks and bags. They have an inside and they have an outside, and they're all stacked on top of each other. But there's between 10 and 20 of them in a typical animal cell, including yours, because they have a lot of proteins they need to fix. So vesicles. Vesicles are these little guys that the arrows are pointing to. It looks like the little bubbles in your, if you'll label that for me, don't put vesicles on top of your Golgi body. Why don't you put it somewhere else? I was just running out of space and I wanted you to make sure you could read that word easily. When I put it small, it was just hard to see. So don't write on top of your Golgi body. Just label those little bubble looking things as vesicles. It's like envelopes. Your Golgi will fix a protein, make it just so, just the right curlicue, just the right twist, and then surround it in a membrane exactly like the cell membrane, a double lipid bilayer surrounding it so it can push it out of the cell membrane and it can move through the chaos of the cytoplasm and not get damaged. So vesicles is it's just a sciencey word that means a lipid envelope. A lipid envelope. That's how you can describe it. Remember, you can hit pause at any time. Go back, to go forward, to get all the notes down. Whatever. All right, this is a Golgi under the microscope. I made an arrow that I was very proud of. Well, I don't know if you can see the whole thing. Maybe you can. That is my old dog when she was a puppy, and I made her into an arrow. The arrow is pointing to this C-shaped organelle just at the end. That whole C-shaped body is the Golgi body, also called the Golgi Apparatus, also called the Golgi Complex. Just depends on the textbook, depends on the professor, depends on the teacher. Most of my teachers called them Golgi Bodies or Golgi Apparatus. Golgi Complex, I read in books and stuff, but None of my teachers called it that. But, you know, you could get upstairs. They may call it Golgi Complex 8th grade. I don't know. Or Tennessee High. But that's a Golgi. I have another picture of a Golgi. This is an electron scanning microscope that's using fluorescence, which I think is super fun because this is a fairly new technology. When we use electron scanning microscopes, if we add certain dyes or we expose the cell or whatever we're looking at to sometimes different rays of radiation, when we shine different wavelengths of light on it, it will fluoresce certain things in the cell that we want to highlight. Now, the science of figuring out what chemicals do what and what color and to what organelles is like, that's a whole science to its own. There's a book in the library, I should ask Miss Winstead for it, I should say upstairs. It used to be upstairs at the old school. There's a book in the library called The Disappearing Spoon, and they devote a whole chapter to scientists that like develop stuff like this. Like, how do we make a chemical that makes a Golgi body show up? And just the Golgi body and nothing else. Anyway, the book's fascinating, and I recommended that she get it, and she'd already read it, so of course we geeked out about it, but it's really great. But that's another Golgi body. I just wanted to show you one under a fluorescing microscope because it's pretty neat. All right, smooth ER. Turn a page. Smooth ER. You could just call it, you don't have to write this thing down where it says you can just call it ER. I just want you to know what ER stands for. That's just for me to remind you. You don't have to write that down. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now, endoplasmic reticulum, if you say smooth ER, from here until graduation, fine. But you need to know ER stands for those two big long words. Inside the cytoplasm, endo means inside or enter. Plasmic means cytoplasm. Reticulum means folded up stuff. Sometimes it means lace, like a pattern or something. But it really means inside the cytoplasm, folded up stuff. But that doesn't sound very sciencey. So it's inside the cytoplasm, folded up stuff, or endoplasmic reticulum. So the ER, pardon me, I'm still eating my smoothie. The smooth ER makes lipids and makes hormones. Now, of course, lipids we know are super important in cell membrane, but every organelle we've talked about so far, except the ribosome, all other organelles have lipid membranes to protect them from the chaos of the cytoplasm and everything that's going on inside of a cell. So smooth ER has a lot of jobs that are very important, but making lipids and making hormones that's its time to shine. And it is for transport. I'm going to show you some pictures of ER in general in just a second, which will help clear that up. But if you'll write those things down, I tried to highlight in this one the important terms. I don't know, it's just an experiment, seeing if it would work. If I highlighted it, you can underline it, you can bold it, you can write it in all caps. You can go to the back of my room and get a highlighter if you want to. Just make sure you put it back, please. But those are the jobs the smooth ER does, and so I wanted to point them out. After smooth ER, I have a picture for you of ER underneath a light microscope. See how it just kind of looks like lace, like a doily, like a fancy tablecloth. It's inside the cytoplasm folded up stuff, but it looks kind of noodly. I have an illustration. Okay, so your smooth ER is the peach stuff right here. Right, well, I don't know. If I'm in the corner I think I'm in, then it should just be the peach flavored, brain. The peach noodly stuff right there. That's your smooth ER. And I want to point out something. If you look at the bottom of the peach stuff, it's coming out of the maroon stuff. The maroon stuff is next. That's rough ER. But the smooth ER came from rough ER. And if you go back even further, the rough ER came from the nucleus. So they're all kind of connected to this like central part of the cell. But the smooth ER's main jobs is to make lipids, make hormones, and transport them. And the noodly shapes go out into the cytoplasm and deliver all that stuff. One of the main reasons you need lipids and hormones is to clean out toxins. And so anything bad in your body, alcohol is a toxin. And so smooth ER makes a lot of lipids to process alcohol. ethanol, like drinking alcohol, which you wouldn't know anything about when you're 12 and 13. But the liver cells of persons addicted to alcohol, unfortunately, are packed with smooth ER because their little cells are trying to like clear out all that toxin. But that's how we learned that their lipids are not just for membranes, is for breaking down toxins too. So they have a really important job in keeping the body healthy. We learned that, unfortunately, in pretty sick people. Wah, wah. Sorry to be Debbie Downer. Okay, rough ER is a lot like smooth ER. It's called rough because it is covered in ribosomes. And if you look at the image that I've included that you cut out, probably put in your notebook, it's covered in little black dots. Little black dots, you know, we have 10 million of them per cell. They're making proteins, they're ribosomes. Same thing. They're floating around the cytoplasm or they're stuck to the rough ER. Rough, you don't have to write this down. This is just for you to like make a little note. You can write it this way, or you can just like circle the R's if you want. Rough starts with R. Ribosome starts with R. So you can remember the rough ER has ribosomes on it. Rough starts with R, R. Okay. So it is covered with ribosomes because the rough ER makes a lot of proteins. It is an extension of the nuclear membrane, and so it's super close to the nucleus, and DNA is in the nucleus. And remember, ribosomes get all their information from DNA, so they're like right there at the source for all their information on what proteins to make and the genes and all that stuff in the DNA. So it's just right there. So because it's covered in ribosome, it makes a bunch of proteins. Rough ER is an extension of the nuclear membrane. Look, I'll show you. So back to the same image I shared a minute ago. I'm going to hold on one second. Yep, right there. Okay, good. That's what I wanted. So I put a little explosion around the point. I like this image so much because it shows the nuclear membrane, the purple, becoming the maroon. And it's not separate from. It's the nuclear membrane extending into a new body. And then that extends into the smooth ER. Now, something I learned last year in quarantine, because I told you I spent time being nerdy and looking stuff up, is rough ER can become smooth ER if the cell needs it, if it needs to like clean toxins and stuff. And if your cell needs to make a lot of protein, say it's growing or it's developing, or maybe you're in puberty and you're growing taller or something, and your cell needs a lot of proteins to like get a lot of information going to get the cell doing its work, then you may have more rough. So rough can become smooth and smooth can become rough ER. Didn't know that till last year. And I have one more. I just like this illustration because I think it's cute. So in the center, you've got, this is a whole cell, clearly. In the center, you have your smiling nucleolus inside the smiling nucleus. And then it extends out of that membrane. You'll see the rough ER kind of at the bottom. And then at the top, you've got the smooth ER that's labeled. But the rough and the smooth are very similar, very close to each other. But rough has ribosomes and smooth does not. Again, back to the same picture I had before. This is rough ER, real rough ER, covered in ribosomes. Absolutely covered in ribosomes. Okay. Well, I hope this helped. Lord, I hate that I'm glad I'm not there getting you sick, but it's surely not the way I thought I was going to teach this stuff. So hit pause, hit rewind, check with your neighbors. Do they have all the same notes you do? When I get back, I'll go over everything and make sure you've got everything. And because who knows what I'm forgetting tonight. I don't know. But I hope you're well. Be good to Miss Katie. Please. She's doing me a huge favor by covering me all week. So see ya.